It's my pleasure today to introduce Charlie Hatchard. He is going to be doing his icebreaker speech. So we are going to get a blizzard of new information about Charlie today. The goals of this speech are to begin speaking before an audience and to discover speaking skills. I don't even have speaking skills. Speaking skills he already has and some skills that he might need some attention on. This speech is untitled as of yet, but please help me welcome Charlie Hatchard for his icebreaker speech.
Fellow Toastmasters, what is an icebreaker speech? To be honest, I don't really know, but I'm hoping it's the speech that you're about to hear right now. My name is Charlie, and I'm up here today to tell you a little bit about myself and give you a little background about who I am and what it is that I'm looking for in life. First item that I can throw out there is that I didn't grow up in Michigan. I grew up in southern Georgia. I know that's different from a lot of people that are here. A lot of people that are here are lifetime Michigan people, even if they're from the UP. And there are a lot of differences between southern Georgia and Michigan, as I'm sure you're aware. First, the obvious one is the weather. As opposed to the blizzard that we're having outside right now, it's about 70 degrees down in Georgia right now. So that's what I grew up with, that's what I miss. But aside from the obvious differences of physical locations, there's a big societal difference between Georgia and Michigan. I'm sure you've always heard that things move a little bit slower in the south than they do up in the north. It really is true. It has nothing to do with education or background, but people in the south tend to have a deliberateness in the way that they speak, in the way that they think, and in the way that they act. Some people do say that it's because of the oppressive heat that's down there for several months out of the year. The temperature is up over the hundreds, there's 100% humidity, and so the less people can move or excite themselves, the less they tend to sweat and overexert themselves. So that could be one of the reasons why people say that things move a little bit slower down there. Later in life, my family moved from Georgia up here to Michigan, and the reason that we did so was for the better schooling opportunities we had up here. In our area in Georgia, there wasn't a lot of good colleges to go to, and as I'm sure you're all aware, there's plenty of good colleges here in Michigan, so that's why we moved up here. My older brother and sister both went to Michigan State, and while that's a great school and has lots of great opportunities there, every time that I went to visit them at MSU, I was sort of put off. I found that it seemed like a really big city. I know now that Lansing is not a big city by any stretch of the means, but for me, always coming from a small town, it seemed like a big city. It seemed like I would be lost in the crowd if I was there. Too many big buildings, too many crowds of people. So I stayed closer to home up in Saginaw, and I went to Saginaw Valley State University. Now, that's not a small school by any stretch of the means either. There's about 11,000 students there currently. So while there's still a big enrollment, it has much more of a small school feel to it. With the exception of one or two of my first classes, every class there I had less than 20 students in, and some of my upper level classes I had only 4 or 5 students in the class. A lot of my classes in the engineering department had the same professors over and over, so I got a real one-on-one relationship with them, and I got to develop that rapport with them. And I really like that, because that's the kind of schooling I've always had all my life, is going to very small schools and that very personal relationship that you develop with the teachers. So that's why I like that. And even though there was a very large population there, being in the small classes that I made a lot of good friends that I still have to this day. After I graduated from SVSU with my degree in electrical engineering, I started to work as a contractor for consumers. And I worked for 3 different companies over the years, working out of various headquarters around the state. And the first thing that I noticed is I didn't like Consumers Energy. The first company that I worked for had about 20 employees, and I liked that. You haven't gotten the message yet. I like small things. I like small groups. And I really liked that company that I was at. It felt comfortable and close. And looking at consumers from a contractor's perspective, I saw this massive company with thousands of employees and multiple levels of red tape to go through. All the bureaucratic levels that were in consumers at the time, I said, I wanted no part of that. And I was happy being in a nice, small little company. Well, after a while, I realized that in a very small company, there's very little room for growth and advancement. And the more I got to see consumers, the more I understood how it worked here, and I started to like the company. So at the time that my current position opened up, I jumped at the chance. The position was here in Parnell. I was already working in Parnell, saw how it worked, developed a lot of relationships with people in the building, and I thought this was really the best move to make at the time. Now, I wasn't necessarily moving from a smaller company to a bigger company at that point. The third contractor that I worked for had 45,000 employees worldwide, so this was actually a smaller company for me to move to, which again, seemed to fit in better with what I was looking for. So now I'm here at Consumers. I'm loving it. From growing up in a small town, in a small area, going to a local college, to where I'm at now, where I don't feel lost in the crowd. Hope that gives you a little bit more understanding of who I am and what it is that I'm looking for in life. And I hope to be able to give more of my experiences to you in future speeches. Thank you.